Long ago, in a distant land, there existed a breathtakingly beautiful kingdom. Surrounded by nature's wonders, it looked like something straight out of a fairy tale dream. Towering green mountains, deep forests, and crystal clear rivers surrounded the kingdom. Every morning when the first rays of sunlight touched the land, the entire kingdom shimmered with a golden glow. The people of the kingdom were happy and peaceful. They worked hard, lived with smiles on their faces, and took great pride in their homeland. The ruler of this kingdom was King Eleron. He was a strong, courageous, and just king. He was not only a ruler, but also a guardian of his people. The citizens respected and loved him deeply. Under his reign, the kingdom flourished. Trade, agriculture, and the arts prospered, making the kingdom the envy of neighboring lands. King Eleron lacked nothing in life. His palace was vast, magnificent, and filled with royal splendor. Thousands of soldiers protected the kingdom day and night. Even distant enemies respected the kingdom's strength. Yet, despite all his wealth, power, and glory, the king's greatest treasure was his 3 daughters. All 3 princesses were exceptionally beautiful. Their beauty and virtues were known throughout the kingdom. The eldest princess, Ilara, loved luxury and elegance. She adored royal gowns, precious jewelry, and the comforts of palace life. The middle princess, Nayeli, was intelligent and thoughtful. She loved reading books and learning new things. But the youngest princess, Amara, was different from the others. Her heart was filled with kindness, compassion, and love. She treated the palace servants like friends. Whenever a poor person asked for help, she never turned them away. If she found an injured bird or helpless animal, she personally cared for it with great tenderness. For this reason, the people of the kingdom loved her the most. And on one particular afternoon, as King Eleron sat in his grand royal court, the wheel of fate slowly began to turn. That afternoon, the king was seated upon his magnificent throne. A last golden rays of sunlight streamed through the palace windows. The marble floors, golden decorations, and enormous chandeliers sparkled brilliantly in the warm light. Ministers, generals, and advisors were busy with their duties. Discussions about the kingdom echoed throughout the royal court. But suddenly, an unusual question entered the king's mind, one he had never thought to ask before. He began to wonder how much his 3 daughters truly loved him. The more he thought about it, the more curious he became. At once, he ordered a royal guard to summon the princesses. The command was delivered immediately, and before long, the 3 princesses made their way to the throne room. They stood before their father and respectfully bowed their heads. King Eleron smiled gently at them. His eyes reflected both curiosity and fatherly affection. In a calm voice, he said, "Today, I want to ask you a question. I want each of you to answer honestly from your heart." The 3 princesses nodded. None of them realized that this simple question was about to change their lives forever. Then the king asked, "Tell me, how much do you love me?" The eldest princess, Ilara, stepped forward confidently. With a bright smile, she said, "Father, I love you like sugar. Just as sugar is sweet, my love for you is equally sweet." The king was pleased. A satisfied smile appeared on his face, and many people in the court looked at Ilara with admiration. Next, Princess Nayeli stepped forward. She was calm, wise, and always careful with her words. Respectfully looking at her father, she said, "Father, I love you like honey. Just as the sweetness of honey never fades, my love for you will never diminish." The king was even more delighted. He thought to himself that his daughters truly loved him deeply. The ministers and advisors exchanged approving smiles. The atmosphere in the court remained warm and joyful. Then all eyes turned toward the youngest princess, Amara. She was the kindest of the king's daughters, but she often saw the world differently from everyone else. Amara stood silently for a moment. It seemed as though she was carefully searching for the right words to express what was in her heart. Amara said, "Father, I love you like salt." The moment those words left her lips, whispers spread throughout the court. Many people looked at each other in surprise. The smile slowly disappeared from the king's face. A look of confusion and discomfort appeared in his eyes. "Like salt?" he asked in astonishment. "What do you mean by that?" Amara respectfully bowed her head. Her voice was filled with sincerity, love, and respect. Earnestly explaining, she said, "Father, salt may not be sweet like sugar or honey, but without salt, no meal is complete. In my life, you are just as important. Without you, my life would feel incomplete. That is why I love you like salt." But the king was no longer willing to listen. Instead of understanding the deeper meaning of her words, he focused only on the comparison itself. Slowly, anger consumed his heart. His face turned red and his eyes burned with rage. Tears filled Princess Amara's eyes. She knew she had done nothing wrong. Her heart held nothing but deep love for her father. Yet she did not disobey the king's command. Silently, she lowered her head and slowly walked out of the royal court. She passed through the long palace corridors and made her way toward the great gates of the kingdom. With every step she took, her heart grew heavier. Behind her, she left her childhood, her family, and the world she had always known. Ahead of her lay an uncertain future. A deep silence still hung over the royal court. No one dared to say a single word. But no one knew that at that very moment, a journey was about to begin, one that would not only change the life of the youngest princess, but would one day transform the life of King Eleron as well. Amara stepped onto the dark path leading into the forest, and there, the most difficult chapter of her life was about to begin. In the next part, how will Amara survive alone in exile? Who will she meet in the mysterious forest? And will King Eleron ever discover the true meaning of a love that is like salt? To be continued.